Welcome to the Dark Zone, an adventure racing podcast.
Well, for me, the action is the juice. I'm in.
Say the word, Chef.
Let it rip.
Welcome to episode 109 of the Dark Zone Adventure Racing Podcast. This is your host, Brian Gatens. This is a fun episode, a course reveal podcast. These are getting more and more popular. These big races come along, whether it be Two Rivers, which is the North American Championship, or even this race here, Adventure Racing World Championship. We did it last year for South Africa, this year for Ecuador. And we get the race director to come on the show and talk about the race course and what the racers will experience. And folks really give us good feedback. They really enjoy these episodes. It's another piece of media that goes along with the in-race commentary, the dot watching, the tracking, and it helps to make the race more interactive for everybody at home. So we're really glad you're here to join us. We're glad that Santiago Lopez could come on the episode and talk about his race he put together. This is a bear of a race, as you'll hear Santiago talk about it. Big stages, big challenge. Ecuador is an amazing place to race. I've had the chance to go down there. Lovely country, great people, so much fun. And Santiago does a really nice job breaking down the course for us and the race for us. And we're so happy that you're here. So sit back and relax. Enjoy this episode of The Dark Zone. And we always like to say, if you like what you hear when you're listening, please go to your platform of choice and like and click and subscribe. It helps us. It pushes us up the algorithm. More people learn about The Dark Zone and the podcast and adventure racing. And always remember, folks, if you keep racing, we'll keep talking. As listeners of The Dark Zone know, we are strong supporters of Ascend Athletics and their goal of empowering women and girls through leadership mountaineering in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Ascend Athletics is truly redefining opportunity for women around the world. Be sure to check out ascendathletics.org to learn more about their mission. Once again, ascendathletics.org, and you can find that link in the show notes. Keep in mind, as I always point out, they pay nothing for this promo. Instead, we love the work that they do, and we're happy to spread it to the world. The Dark Zone is happy to support and partner with AR School. What is AR School? Well, it's an online service that ensures that you have access to the expertise that you need so you, as an adventure racer, can continue to level up. We all know that progress can be slow, so why waste time repeating mistakes or wondering if you're using the right tactics? AR School brings together world-class training, top competitors, and athletes of all levels. It's like a transition area between races where you can learn what works, share your expertise, and fuel your passion alongside other racers. AR School is launching soon, so join me and several top competitors inside AR School by joining the waitlist at www.thearschool.com. That's thearschool.com. Welcome to the Dark Zone Adventure Racing Podcast. This is your host, Brian Gatens. I have Santiago here. He is the race director for the 2024 World Championships in Ecuador. And what we're going to do, listeners, is that we're going to walk through the entire race, what the racers will experience along the way. This is a great listen as a companion to the online viewing watching experience. Remember, the Dark Zone and ARWS and a lot of commentators will give a ton of information about Worlds. This adds to all that information, and we're delighted to have Santiago here today. So welcome aboard, Santiago. Welcome back to the Dark Zone. I think this is your third time on the show. I don't know the math exactly, but we're delighted to have you here. Congratulations on kicking off the World Championships. Tell us about the race. Give us the big picture, the logistics, distance, time, all of that.
Oh, wow. I'm excited. Thank you, Brian, and thank you for the Dark Zone podcast. I love to read all the commentaries on your podcast and also to listen to them. I mean, it's been a whole year listening to the Dark Zone podcast, and I'm excited that we are here just talking about the route of the World Championship of this year here in Ecuador. So I'm pretty excited. Obviously, we've been working a long way, organizing this event and putting all the pieces together. Is like a big puzzle. That's how we see it. So it is a puzzle that sometimes some of these pieces are very difficult to find, and some others are very difficult to get together with the other ones. So it's a puzzle that needs to take a lot of patience, a lot of work, and obviously in this particular year, and I have to say it hasn't been the best year for Ecuador for many reasons. I mean, it's been a big drought that affected a lot of the water, and obviously it affected the electricity system. So we've been with some cuts, in electricity, and obviously some of the rivers are dry. So we've had to change the route in many parts and adapt to it. I think this is a global problem of climate change that is affecting the whole world, and we need to deal with this. I mean, we need to understand that we have to be part of this new world that is changing and adapt to it as adventure racers and people who love the outdoors. So I'm happy that we ended up having a beautiful course that, the spirit of the course is still there and it is beautiful. And it has just an amazing vibe. And obviously it will have some great highlights.
So how long is the race itself? How many kilometers have you laid out the course?
Well, Ecuador is pretty rough. So we have 600 Ks, which is not a short race because it will have more than 18,000 meters elevation gain and more than 70,000 meters elevation drop. So it is a course that will take for the first team around 105 hours, which is the 4.5 days that normally are in World Championships. We wanted to keep it like that, not more, because last year, we remember the first team finished the race in 125 hours. It was a little bit too much for the teams who were, at the back, from the mid back to the back, because they needed to cut some sections so they could finish. So we wanted to keep it that on 100 hours, and we will have, probably the most of the teams will end on 130, and then we'll have the last teams finishing in 160 hours, probably something like that.
And the race starts. So it's morning right now. It's Saturday, November 30th. The race is just kicked off as we've started. What is the first experience for the teams? What do you have them do? Where are you taking them? Are they trekking? Are they cycling? Are they boating? Are they rafting? What are they doing?
Okay, so we go to what is happening right now, and teams are traveling around Cuenca. I mean, we're going to do a controlled bike section around Cuenca. And it's controlled because we want them to experience downtown Cuenca and the city. The city is beautiful. It has a lot of bicycle paths and everything. So this whole group travels around Cuenca, and then they collect the maps at a park just in the outside part of Cuenca. In this section, they will take the maps and they will start biking. It is a beautiful bike that will take them through many communities. Some of them are indigenous communities. Some other are rural communities very close to the southern part of Cuenca. And it will take the 75 kilometers to travel all the way to the south to the place that is called Pixuma. Pixuma is high, is still high. I mean, they will bike in elevations between 2,000 meters elevation height to 3,200 meters elevation height. But it is not a pretty steep climb. It is something that it will have to go up and down all the way to Pixuma. It's beautiful because it is very, very difficult to navigate, because there are many roads. This is a rural area where you have many options. So teams are going to have to experience a lot of, they'll have to take a lot of decisions. And it's going to be interesting to see, all this group of teams traveling around this maze of roads just to Pixuma.
So right away, so in early challenges, they'll leave Cuenca on to Pixuma. They'll be on bikes. It sounds like a bike-o section locally, and then they have to navigate through these back rural roads, of which there's in these communities, there's a lot of route choice. So right away, they're climbing 2,000 to 3,000 feet, 2,000 to 3,000 meters, and they have to end up, and they go from that first bike section, which might be tricky navigationally, into what's next for them? They go to a trek.
Yeah, it's a trekking, and it's a very cool trekking because it will go from the highlands to the lowlands. So it's 75 kilometers. It is 2,000 meters elevation gain, but it's 4,000 meters elevation loss. So you will go all the way down to the rainforest. It is still the high part of the rainforest. It is like it is a mountainous area of the rainforest. So it's a mixture of diversity because you will have a rainforest, but it's also rock. I mean, it's with a lot of small mountains, and it is not flat. As you know, some people think about the rainforest as the Amazon, basin, which is totally flat. In this part of the Amazon in Ecuador, is still mountainous, but you have the vegetation of the jungle. So it's a trekking that will be pretty interesting at the beginning because they will start to change vegetation from this tundra, this highland Paramo section to the lowland, pretty deep, dense forest. It has many paths, so it won't be that tricky, in navigation. And then you will find a river that it will go next to you until you finish in a place that is called Sacanas. In this area, they will finish this trekking. Is going to be pretty interesting. Always the first trekking is interesting. All the teams trying to put the pace, to set the rhythm and try to finish as fast as possible. This is going to be during the night, so they probably will arrive. We estimate that the first teams will arrive early in the morning. In Sacanas, probably there will be 7, 8 in the morning on Sunday. And then they will find their kayak bags, their paddle bags. It's not a kayak, it's pack rafting section. So they will have to change to pack raft, and then they will have 70.5 Ks of pack raft. And it's a pack raft trek section. They will have to trek and pack raft in 2 different rivers. So first of all, they will have to walk a bit and then get into a river that is pretty interesting and pretty fun because it will have class 3 sections in some areas. We will have some security there, some safety. And then they will have to deflate the pack raft and then walk up another river and then go down again. So it will be like 15K walking and then inflate the river, they inflate the pack rafts again and go down the river. It is also a pretty interesting section. It will have some other 2, 3 level, river sections. And then they will finish in a place called Proveeduría. Proveeduría is pretty close to a city called Gualaquiza. This is another province, actually. We were in the Azuay province. The highlands is a sierra, is a highlands province, to Amazon province that is called Morona Santiago. In Morona Santiago is a province of that borders with Peru. So we are going to be pretty close to Peru actually, and then they're going to travel from Gualaquiza next to this transition area. In a beautiful trek. It is not going to be a hard trek, but it's going to be interesting because it's going to be next to the river, and they will have to find the path next to the river all the way to a place called El Empalme, where they start a rope course, a rope section area. That is beautiful. So we are now here in the leg 3. I don't want you to get lost. We're in section 3 now.
I got you. Yep.
Then they drop the pack raft. They take their rope gear and they do this 30 kilometers trekking section that will take them to El Empalme, where they will have the rope system.
Let me ask you a question just for the people at home as they go through it. You talked about the fact that they're going through the jungle, the fact that they're going to be on the river. how remote is this section of Ecuador? Like, will they pass through villages and towns? Is the navigation requiring them to go? Are there trails there? I know there's a lot of trails all over Ecuador. Like, if I'm sitting at home and if I'm watching the dots, are the racers, are they on a path that's relatively easy to follow and it's just about duration and distance, or will there be a lot of technical navigation in that part of the race? In those early sections, how sharp do they have to be?
Well, I have to say that now we've been working with a group that is called Trotamundos. Vanessa and Andy, they race with me and Fofo in Africa. And they are pretty good mappers, really good mappers. So the quality of the maps here are just amazing. Is something that changes a lot from the last experience of the World Champs 10 years ago. So teams are going to find maps that will have all the information that they require. I mean, if there are paths, they are going to be in the map. It will be very difficult to find something that is not in the map. So it is tricky because you will have many options and probably you will find some other paths, but the maps are pretty good. So you'll have to just pay attention to what is in the map and take the good decision.
Sure. I mean, I've raced your races in the past, and what we remember most about the maps down there was that the trail that we wanted to be on was always on the map, right? It was never as if it wasn't there, but there were always other trails, and you had to make a lot of decisions. Like, it wasn't as if we were looking at a map and the trail we needed didn't exist. The trail always existed, but also alongside it existed 5 other trails.
There were others. Yeah,
right.
This have been doing a great job, mapping all the other options. So I will say that I wouldn't say that it is 100%, proved, because there's always some.
Oh, sure. It's adventure racing, right? The maps are never perfect, right?
Yeah, I mean, animal paths and some stuff like that, and probably at night it will be difficult to see. But they are, it's pretty good. I mean, the maps are pretty good. This section, especially in Morona Santiago, is mainly owned by indigenous communities. The indigenous community is called the Shuar people. The Shuar people are warriors, they're pretty tough people, pretty nice people, and they walk around a lot. I mean, they still walk around a lot, connecting their communities one to the other, and just to visit, relatives, to go from one place to the other. So these paths are pretty good.
Worn in. They're pretty good. They're pretty solid. But yeah, I also like, by the way, when my race director takes me to a warrior people, I'm glad that they're also nice. So thank you for that. Sure. I don't want to go where the warrior people are mean. All right, where they're nice. So thank you for doing that.
In the Amazon. The Shuar people is pretty nice, and they will go to this. Close to these areas where you can find some places you can buy stuff.
Okay.
I mean, as always, it will depend on the time of the day. But yeah, they could take some small detours if you want to just to see if they can.
So there's some options out there in terms of the course, like the teams could do that. What do you expect the weather to be like? Will it be humid and hot? I mean, you say rainforest, or do you have no idea? Like, it's going to be what it's going to be.
It's been very dry, but so dry that it is so different from what we expected. It was supposed to be pretty rainy, but who knows? I mean, it can change quickly because the Amazon rainforest brings a lot of humidity, and the clouds just from one day to the other, it could change.
They just burst, right? Sometimes there's a rainstorm that's not predicted that just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, totally. And it can change from in 24 hours. So probably you don't have that in the weather forecast, but probably in 24 hours it can change dramatically, and the next day you can have a storm. Normally, the storms in the rainforest, what happens is that it rains a lot, and rivers can go up, paths are muddy. Visibility, all of that. So we have to take care, especially of rivers. If we have a problem with water, we have a system where we take people out of the rivers and we make some changes there. So, but it's okay. I mean, they are used to it. That's why it's called the rainforest, because it rains.
You're right. I missed the obvious there. It's going to rain in the rainforest. Very good. So, so coming back to the course. So we had the raft to the trek, and there's a rope section. Are they climbing up or are they climbing down?
They're doing everything. I mean, it's crazy. This place is beautiful. Is a canyon that we found next to Hualaquiza, this town of Morona, Santiago, and Hualaquiza has because it's still mountainous, but it's a rainforest. It is like I don't know how to explain it. It's so beautiful. It's like the paradise. I mean, it's waterfalls going, even coming out of the mountain, in a system of rocks. So teams are gonna get into this. They will experience, being inside of these canyons, and then they will have to descend in some sections, get, be connected, safe with the ropes, and then they will have to do a jumar. They will have to ascend in a section to get out of the canyon and then go back to the place where they started.
Oh, that sounds great.
It's a beautiful loop. It's just unbelievable. It's one of the highlights of the race, I'm pretty sure. And I really hope that the teams are gonna love this.
Is any part is that dark zoned, or is it open the entire race? Like, is there any part here in which you're only going to hold them because of darkness, or they're getting on the ropes at night?
No, it's not closed. I mean, they're getting the ropes at any time, and then we will have many ropes also, so teams won't have to wait.
Gotcha, the bottleneck. Okay.
Yeah, there won't be a bottleneck. We will have probably like 5 or 6 ropes to descend, and if we have many teams there, we will just put one rope to each team.
Right.
So you will have to be one at a time in each team. So it will be okay. So it won't be a bottleneck. Is let me check the times. We're talking about Monday at 5:30 for the first team.
5:30 in the morning.
5:30 in the morning. So yeah.
So they're like 46 hours into the race, 47 hours into the race. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a really interesting time to get to a ropes course, because they probably had a small sleep by then, so they'll be pretty fatigued getting there at that time.
Probably, yeah. So let's see how the strategy, for the teams are, but I'm confident that we will have a lot of people there. I mean, safety people is going to be there, taking care of of teams and seeing that they are, not doing things with the sleep deprivation. So
right,
we'll take care of that.
Gotcha. So lead teams 48 hours in, other teams following behind. When they're done with the rope section, do they come back to that section, or does that drop them off at another part of the course and they keep trekking?
They stop there, and then they will find the bikes just at the end of the rope course. Once they find the bike, they will start biking north in a section of rainforest too. It is not so muddy. I mean, the road is pretty good, but it's pretty steep in some areas. So we will have like 6,000 meters elevation gain with 177 kilometers of this section.
Holy cow! That's a big bike section.
It is a big bike section. We are estimating the first team to do like 20 hours, something like that, and probably the last team 30 or something more. They will take the teams to a place called Copal. They will pass through a place called Limón in Danza, also in Morona, Santiago, and they will go to this place called Copal, which is going to be the last section of lowlands, because they will stop this bike and then they will have to go up again. But this bike has also many, not so tricky navigation, but many options. You will find many roads. You will have to go through some shuar communities. You will have places where you can buy food. I mean, if you are in a good time of the day, you will be able, to find some stores and, get provisions. I mean, water and food.
Okay.
So it will be a long bike, but anyways, it will have, some good parts, so you can have some other things. And it's beautiful because you will have to go through many communities, and you will see many of the culture, specifically the culture here in the lower region of the Amazon in Ecuador. So it is a pretty nice bike section that will take them some time, but they will have to enjoy this one, because then they will have I will say that is the big stage of the race, which is like is the trekking leg. This trekking leg is the section 6 of the race, and it will be 60 Ks. But in this scenario, you will climb almost 4,000 meters elevation gain. You will lose 2,000 meters, but you will go up 4,000 meters elevation gain in 60K. But this trekking, this section is pretty tough. I mean, it's pretty slow. It goes in the middle of a national park that is called Rio Negro Sopladora. And it will go from the rainforest to the highlands again. So that's what is tricky, because you will be in the lowlands, in low elevation, and then you will have to go up all the way up to 3,400 meters again. So it will be slow, it will be tough. Probably teams are going to be pretty tired. So it's pretty important for teams, to consider the last bike as a section where they need to, keep the energy high and, resupply, probably sleep, because this last section, this last trekking section will be pretty tough for them. And this is probably one of these sections where, race is going to be decided. If a team didn't make the good, decisions during the race and they are probably too tired, they will probably have some problems in this trekking section, because it is very demanding on energy. You'll have to go all the way up in a very rough terrain. So we'll see what happens in there.
So that's a good point to bring up for those of us who are watching from home. They have this big bike, right? 177K, 6,000 meters, a lot of work. But then that's going to lead right into a big bike, into a big trek. So right away, teams are going to have to make a lot of good decisions about whether or not, like how much energy to put into one, to into the other. And I'm assuming, and this is always a tough question to ask race directors, do you see the course as clearable for the front teams? Like, do you see the lead teams able to clear the entire course?
Totally, yes.
Okay. Totally.
It will definitely depend on the weather. Always, we've been doing this in a dry season. If it is very rainy and we see, that this changes drastically, we might have to do some cuts. But I'm not considering the cuts as something big, because I think that the teams will be able to do it.
Got it. So that's an important thing for the viewer at home, is that those lead teams, the teams at the pointy end of the race, we could fully expect them to travel to every single checkpoint on the course. And obviously, and I didn't ask about mandatory versus optional. As you get further back in the race, the teams that are in the middle and the back of the pack, they'll begin to make some routing decisions during the course themselves. But the front of the race, every checkpoint along the way.
Every checkpoint along the way. I mean, we won't do any exceptions there. I mean, there are no pro points as in some other races. I mean, right. The whole route is there for, to pick them up. So I'm pretty sure that the teams are going to clear the route, hopefully in less hours than what we expected.
Right.
Let's see how it goes. But this section, this trekking section will demand a lot of energy for them. They will finish this one, and then they will have another finish biking that will have also some ropes in the middle. So the last section, this is leg 7, it is also pretty interesting because you will be able to bike back to Cuenca, which is good. I mean, we closed the loop. Mm-hmm. And then they will have 115 Ks of biking, but in the middle, they will have to do another rope section in a wonderful place that is called Cojitambo. It's probably one of the highlights in climbing here in Ecuador. So it's beautiful rock climbing. I mean, most of the people who love rock climbing, not only in Ecuador, but in South America and in the world also, when they come to Ecuador, they need to visit Cojitambo. Cojitambo is one of these beautiful places of rock climbing. And teams, what they are going to do is they're going to leave the bikes. They're going to go up all the way up this beautiful rock, this formation, beautiful views, and then they will walk down. This is going to be with ropes, it's a beautiful place where they will have to walk, taking care of themselves. It's almost like a via ferrata. They'll have to pick up the bikes again and then go back to Cuenca. So it's a beautiful highlight, just to close close the
It's
route.
just to close that up. And so that's like 7 has the bike and the ropes, and then does that take them back into the finish, or is there more course ahead of them?
No, is they taking them back to the finish.
Wow, holy cow! So what is your favorite stage on the race? What's your favorite section?
Good question. For me, the highlight of the race will be the rope system. I mean, the canyon. It is just a wonderful place. It's magic because it's in the middle of the rainforest with these rainforests, with mountains, with waterfalls. It's just so magic. But if we talk about the stage, I mean, a whole leg, I think that this sixth leg, I mean, the trekking section, that goes all the way up back to the highlands, it is the best. I mean, it's just unbelievable how 60K are all only on a single track. I mean, there will be 60Ks of single track in the middle of the jungle. It's just unbelievable, and
right.
You have to cross rivers and go up. You feel the change of elevation. You see and feel the change of vegetation, and then you won't see any person. I mean, it's totally
remote. You're just out there.
You're just out there. It's in the middle of the national park. There's
an important thing to keep in mind then. So that bike which precedes it, that big bike, 177K, 6,000 meters a game, that's going to be simultaneously a resupply, a rest, and then get ready for that big trek. And teams should pick up on that when they look at the maps. They should grasp that.
Yeah, if they don't do that, they will have problems in that section.
Well, right, because if they're not careful, and this is for the dot watcher at home as they consider the race, for those front teams, it's always a balance between how fast can we go, but how well can we hold it together, right? Mm-hmm. So if you blow through that bike section, if you do it as hard as you can, and you get to that trek section, and you're strung out and you're beat and you're tired, you can go to the 60K trek. Where, by the way, and it sounds like, if I understand correctly, and it's important to keep this in mind, once you're in that trek, you're in that trek. Like you're not going to catch a town. You're not going to see village. You're not going to. So is it safe to assume that like when teams want to rest along the course, they want to catch a break, and they want to sleep and bivvy a little bit, that like they'll pass through those TAs, they'll pass through those towns. But once they get to the later section of the race, it sounds like it's like, you got to figure it out when you're out there by yourselves. There's no village you're going to bump into somebody and borrow their barn, right? You're out there. Okay.
You're just out there. It is tricky because you need to know that you will be by yourself for 60K. So we are expecting the first team to do this section 17 hours.
To go 60K.
60K. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's not fast.
That's not. For the first team. I mean, right. The last team could be there for more than 24 hours, so 30 hours or more. So you will have to, put all those, calories on your backpack. So you need to carry a lot of water. Actually, not so much water because you will find a lot of water in the way, but you will need to carry all those calories. You need to carry food. You need to carry supplies, and you will need to be aware that you will be by yourself and probably sleep during that section.
Yeah, so you have to figure that out along the way, where you bivvy, where you lay down, what you do. In terms of required gear, from that perspective, are teams required at any point during the race to carry a tent? They have to carry a bivvy bag. They have to carry food and stove. Like, whatever we are each other's own safety, right? That's why you work in teams. What are you requiring the teams to carry during the race from a safety perspective?
Well, ARWS always has this list of material that is good because it's pretty easy and easy to understand and to follow. We just added, normally some races add or subtract some items. In our case, everything is there because we will have cold sections and hot sections.
Right.
So we require teams to always bring with you this booty bag, which is this shelter, you can get in with the whole team.
Yeah, I hate it. Okay. Yeah, I know it. I loathe that bag. But I hear you. It's safe to have. It terrifies me.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's not a good place for rest, but it's a good place for, emergency.
It keeps you alive.
It keeps you alive. Yeah, keeps you dry. But but if you need to, I mean, if you want to sleep, and if it is your strategy to sleep during the course, it was probably better to bring a big tent, not a big tent, but a place where you can rest.
Right.
I mean, a booty bag is not a good place for resting. But if you find yourself in a situation where you need to rest, you need to find a shelter that gives you this space where you can lay down, dry, and try to sleep. So it will be part of the strategy too. I mean, we require them to bring this booty bag or a tent. But it will depend on them, which strategy they use, and if they use a place where they can sleep or not. This will be interesting to see. I mean, especially in this trekking section, because if you don't have some places where if you're super tired, you need to sleep, and you don't have a place where you can rest, it will be pretty tough. And you will do a pretty slow advance. You will move pretty slow to finish this.
You just grind to a halt. Yep.
Yeah. So let's see. That's why I love this section, because it's probably the highlight of the strategy of the race.
Gotcha. And it tests, and it's called adventure racing for a reason, right? It's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be difficult. Before we started recording, you talked about how enabled tracking was going to release the course a section at a time. For the dot watcher at home, could you explain that?
Yes. What we do normally, and we've been doing that with my car, with enabled tracking, is to release each section at a time. And this is made just for many safety purposes, because we want people and people who follows, to see where the teams are leg by leg. If we open the whole route, the problem there, and we've experienced that, is that we can have people just going to the route without they knowing what they can find in the route. And I know that people is so excited just to go and see the teams, but we have pretty difficult sections like this one we're talking about. I mean, we don't want people without any gear to get into these sections and walk along these sections just to see a team in the middle of the night, just because they're the tourists. So we're releasing these sections one by one. So people at home will see that they will have section 1, then 2, and 3, and 4, and so on, until the road is completed. So sections are gonna be appearing in the screen.
Gotcha. So that's one thing to keep in mind for those viewing at home. And as we're wrapping up here, where can people follow the race? ARWS will have all their regular channels. There'll be commentary on social media. Where else can people find information about the race while it's going on?
Well, it's ARWS always. So it will be in social media, YouTube, Facebook. It's going to be also in Instagram. We are pretty good with Instagram here in Ecuador. So you follow the ARWS and Guayracinchi Instagram, you will find a lot of information there. And we'll try to have some, like news every day. At noon here in Ecuador, so that'll be some 10-minute news of what happened during the day, so people just can follow and understand what is going on.
Excellent. And what we will do too is we'll make it a point, Dark Zone listeners, that we'll send out of all channels all those links, so you could follow the Instagram and the Facebook and the tracking. And your organization always has a great history about keeping people informed. So Santiago, thank you for this Course Reveal podcast. We're very excited. I didn't ask about any teams on purpose. This is all about the course, which you've been building and your team's been building. Before we sign off, are there any final words you want to say to the event racing world about hosting the World Championship?
Well, thank you for not asking about teams. I mean, for me, is all these 71 teams are, so important. I mean, the top teams and the teams that are going to be there for the longest, especially the ones that are going to be there longest, they are heroes. I mean, don't forget about that. It's not only the top teams. The teams that are there more in the course are, so tough, because they are spending much more time there in the route. The top teams, they finish in 5 days, the 4 or 5 days, and they are done. But there are some other teams that are going to be there for 7. So
they live there now. This is their new home. Right.
Don't forget about the teams that are in the back. I mean, they are working hard to finish this course, and deserve all our respect and consideration. So yeah, it's an honor to be part of this World Championship again and to put this amazing event this year. And I'm pretty sure that it's going to be just a wonderful experience for everybody. That's what we want. So enjoy, follow the race, and write us down if you need to know something else.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another episode of the Dark Zone Adventure Racing Podcast, episode 109. Thank you to Santiago Lopez for coming on to the show, and best of luck to him and to the race and to all the racers. Be sure to head over to social media and capture Instagram and Facebook and get a sense of the race that's going on. ARWS will do a great job sharing that with the world. We hope that you enjoy this year's World Championship in Ecuador. Once again, thanks for being a listener to the Dark Zone. If this is your first time here, please consider being a subscriber. We really enjoy our audience. We enjoy speaking with you and bringing you content. We hope that you have enjoyed yourself this evening. If you really, really, really like what you hear, please head over to your streaming platform of choice and leave a rating and a like and a click. And always remember, if you keep racing, we'll keep talking.